These pieces of floor slate appear to be right from the quarry, but they're part of an 18-piece puzzle that's cut the same way every time. These pieces of wall slate are much thinner and are used for paneling purposes. Uncut sheets of slate, in a variety of thicknesses, come straight from the quarry. After the slate sheets are stacked on a forklift, a worker carefully drives them to another part of the storage yard. He sets them down gently. Another worker splits the sheets of slate using a pneumatic zip gun. It's a delicate process. Once he splits the slate sheets, the worker inspects the lines in the pieces of slate and looks for cracks. Then he carries the sheet to a gauging machine, where he checks the thickness of the sheet to make sure it won't cause jams on the cutting table. This multi-blade cutting table slices a sheet of slate into a series of strips. It's covered with recycled water, which lubricates the cutting process, cools the slate and cutting blades, and removes unwanted dust and particles. A conveyor slowly moves the slate sheet forward. A total of 18 diamond blades slice the sheet of slate into strips. These strips of slate will be used for wall paneling. This cutting table cuts several sheets of slate at the same time, if that's what's needed. Once the cutting process is complete, a worker inspects the strips of slate and sorts them according to thickness and width. Next, he piles some of them in preparation for splitting. He cracks thicker strips of slate using a stone splitter with a hardened steel blade. He makes sure they're thin enough to be used for wall paneling. Once the pieces of slate reach their final thickness, a worker places them in boxes, ready for installation. A worker inspects a sheet of slate that will be used for flooring. The thickness of slate flooring must be constant. He places a sheet on a conveyor, which takes it through a gauging machine, where its surface will be made perfectly even. Using 2 diamond grinding wheels, the gauging machine shaves off any pieces of stone that exceed a preset thickness. After several minutes of shaving, the slate sheet emerges from the gauging machine. An employee checks the sheet to make sure it's perfectly smooth. First, he checks the underside of the eventual floor tiles. And then, he checks the top side, the stone face that will be displayed. The worker places the smooth, flat pieces of slate on a cutting frame. The computerized cutting machine cuts 18 pieces of slate according to a preset pattern. A high-velocity water jet cuts the stone at 3 times the speed of sound. The water is pure, filtered several times. The first time the slabs move through the machine, it cuts pieces 1 to 9, and the second time through, it cuts pieces 10 to 18. The worker snaps off excess trim and then stacks the cut pieces of slate according to their numbers. All the number 1s are identical to each other, as are each of the other numbers in the preset 18-piece pattern. Repeated on a floor, the 18-piece pattern appears natural. This non-porous slate comes in different textures and colors and can even be used in bathrooms or as roofing.